All right, everyone, welcome. This is Career Talk with. It was. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now much better.
Okay. Hello everyone. This is Career Talk with. Wait, yeah. Ashran Ghazi. He is the CEO of DATUM, right?
Yes, that's correct.
What is DATUM?
Hello. Yeah, the line's not so clear at the moment. What was the question?
What is DATUM?
What is DATUM? DATUM is actually a company that deals a lot with data.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we do is we look at data and we tell, we use data to understand how people are.
Okay, so how do you use the data?
Well, we actually tell our clients based on data how people behave. And based on how people behave, then companies can use that information to decide what products to sell, what products to create, how to sell, and who to sell to.
What does a CEO do on a daily basis?
On a daily basis? What does the CEO do on a daily basis? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Well, two key things, a lot of talking, a lot of thinking. So on the thinking part, I think that goes continuous, I guess, for any role. But as the CEO of any company, you have to think of a lot of things and not just about the business today. You've got to also think about the business today and the future. That's part of the role of the CEO. With regards to the talking bit that I was talking just now, what it essentially means is that any business usually would have a management team or team that is working with the CEO, right? So part of your job is to always talk to internally your key management team so that everyone is on the same page in terms of achieving the goals that we need to achieve, and that you're solving problems together. So, from morning to night, it's always going to be a mixture of thinking time, talking time to internal team members, and of course, talking and engaging time with external team members too, or external clients or people out there.
So you talk a lot.
Yep. Part of the role requires you to talk a lot and to be very clear of what you talk about.
Sorry, I'm working on the chat window for the questions later. Oh yeah, by the way, when people ask questions, there won't be a session at the end. It will just be there, just straight, so you can answer them straight from directly. You don't have to stop and stuff. Okay. Wait.
Okay. The question is going to appear on screen, or
we'll read them to you.
Okay.
Again, I'm just working on the chat window. How did you become a CEO? How did you become a CEO? My sister's asking.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that question. How do you become a CEO? Well, it depends on whether it's your own company or not. If it's your own company, you can always self-proclaim yourself as the CEO. But if you are working in the company, then the CEO role is usually the owners of the company looks for the CEO candidate. And in order for them to choose you, you've got to fit the criteria that they're looking out for. And the few things that most companies look for in a CEO role is whether they have got leadership qualities. Can they communicate very well? Are they also good in financial management? Are they able to lead teams well? And to some extent, are they visionary or not in order to lead the company? So the owners of the company would normally, go around and look for people that fit those general criteria to qualify to be the CEO. But of course, you've got other criteria, depends on the nature of business. Some roles doesn't require the CEO to have specific domain knowledge in that business. So if you're running, say, theoretically, even a data company like ours, you don't have to be a data scientist to be the CEO. Ah, are you feeling cold there?
And sorry, I normally wear a jacket when we have this ones. I feel empty when I don't wear a jacket in Korea Talk. My dad in the chat, what does CEO stand for? Is it Chief Entertainment Officer or no?
What does CEO stand for? So CEO, not Chief Entertainment Officer, but although that falls in part of the role sometimes, entertaining and engaging clients or stakeholders. But CEO officially stands for Chief Executive Officer. And why they have given a name as such is that the responsibility of the whole entire business or company falls onto the Chief Executive Officer. There are a lot of team members who are executing things in the company, but the person that is actually leading and kind of managing to make sure that everything is going well between all the team members, that would be the Chief Executive Officer. So that's what CEO stands for, guys. Chief Executive Officer. People do joke around to have the E to stand for many other things also. But the root primary one would be if you are a startup, the other usual label for CEO is Chief Everything Officer, because you probably don't have that many people with you, and you probably got to do every single thing at the same time. So yeah, sometimes people call CEOs of startups as Chief Everything Officer also. But like I said, for the most part, it's Chief Executive Officer.
How many employees do you?
How many employees report to you?
So how many employees report to me?
Yeah.
So in our company, I have got 7 people that reports directly to me, but the whole company is about 100 odd people.
Do you like being a CEO?
I actually love being the CEO, or not just about the CEO per se, but I love the fact that you're in the driver's seat and that you can drive the things that you think is needed. That's why I enjoy the CEO role more than anything else. But the other thing about, for you guys out there who's wondering whether, do I want to be a CEO or not? You've got to ask yourself whether do you like to lead teams, right? If you like to lead teams, you like to do work groups, and you're taking charge of things, and you're being responsible of things, then chances are you are fit for the role of a CEO. If you ask me, everybody can be a CEO. Really, it's about leadership, and everybody is a leader regardless of what level they are in the company. Even for you guys in schools, right? When you're in the classroom, if you've got a class monitor, he's the CEO of the class. He needs to take charge of what needs to happen and what needs to be done within the classroom. The assistant monitor, if there's any, would be like the deputy CEO that supports him or her in performing that role itself.
If you're not CPO, who would you be?
Sorry?
If you're not the CEO of DATUM, what would you be?
If I'm not the CEO of DATUM, well, I'm hopeful that I'm always going to be involved in companies that's actually trying to make something really awesome and impactful. So if it's not DATUM, it's another company that's trying to do something really awesome. And that's been my premise. It's either my own company that I set up to be able to do something awesome, or working with other people to be able to do something awesome. It usually would need to center around technology a little bit. I'm quite passionate about tech, but it can be in any space. And one of the things that gets me excited is doing things that nobody has done before, or doing things that people have not done in the way that you think ought to be done. So that tends to attract me. At the end of the day, guys, it's if you ask me, it's not about do you aspire to be a CEO or not. I think it's really about what do you want to achieve. What kind of impact do you need to create? Sometimes, while it's great to have aspirations to be a CEO, but it boils down to what you're looking out for. And if you're looking out, being always in a driver's position and trying to create that impact, you could do that either by being a CEO, or if you're working in a larger organization, leading a particular large unit or department also. So you gotta, as a person, you've got to ask those questions to yourself. Do you enjoy those things or not? So one easy thing that you could do is actually, reflect in terms of what you guys do in school. When your teacher asks you to lead a project, do you get excited about it or not? Or when somebody asks you to lead a project, do you actually go, oh no, I hate to be the leader of this group? So if you hate to be a leader of this group, you may or may not be the right mold as a CEO. But if you're always constantly looking out for, being ahead, trying to get groups of people to come together with you, which are all essentially leadership skills, right? Then that gets you to that path of CEO.
What are the roles of the 7 people that report to you?
What are the roles of the 7 people that reports to me? Variety. So I've got one person that's looking after accounts, finance, and human resources. I've got a person that looks at operations in general. I've got a person that looks at data and analytics. I've got another person that looks at engineering and software development. I've got a unit that looks at project management across the board. I've got a group that is also sales and marketing. And last but not least, the group that looks at capturing data in. So that's about 7 of key people that reports to me. And part of my job is essentially to make sure that all these 7 people are in harmony, right? Being a CEO is also sometimes like a music orchestra. You're the director of the orchestra, and you got to make sure at the right time, different people are playing the right instruments, creating the right sound at the right time, so that it gels with also other people. You got to make sure everyone knows what song they're playing, because if you don't know what song they're playing, right, the guy that's playing the guitar is going to be playing a different tune. The guy that's playing the piano is going to be playing a different tune. The guy that's playing the violin is going to be playing a different tune. So part of that job of the CEO is to make sure not just the 7 people, but the whole company, right, is have clarity that this is the song we are playing, guys. This is what everybody needs to do and play in order to make sure the song comes out really nice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, well, what was your roles when you were a startup in Sabujaya and at Magic?
Well, for the most part of my life, so my only employment, right, in my whole career, I started off in Petronas as an executive, and then went up to be a manager. And after then, I've always been in some form of leadership role, ending in Magic as the CEO for Magic. Prior to that, my previous startup, I was either the CEO for the most part, except for one other startup that was where I was the COO, which is the Chief Operating Officer. So for the most part of my career, I've always been in a leadership position. To be frank, I don't think about it too much sometimes. But that is why I'm also telling everyone, it's good to have ambition, right? But it is also important to reflect in terms of not so much about chasing a particular role. It's about chasing what you want to create. It's about chasing what you want to be, not be in terms of roles, yeah? Because titles and roles are just titles and roles. What makes you happy as a person is what you want to achieve. And sometimes, you can do those things even without a particular title or role in that place.
What do you do as a hobby?
When you're not working.
What was the other question?
What do you do what's your hobby and what do you do in your pastime?
Well, I enjoy movies for the most part, and reading. So those two tends to be my outlet. I've more recently taken up cycling. I'm trying to cycle a bit more. Not been as consistent as I would like it to be. But yeah, it's things that actually distracts me from my usual working. But I'm also a little bit weird because doing other types of work, community type of work, society type of work is also a hobby of mine, if I can classify that. I am one of those people that just loves to constantly think, and I've got to do something. So getting involved in associations that may not directly involve work is something that I consume myself also.
So basically, couch potato.
Sorry?
So basically, couch potato. Okay. So, is your job stressful?
There are naturally stressful moments. Um, I cannot imagine if you were to ask any CEO if it's not stressful. There will always be stressful moments. The key of becoming a good CEO is to also know how to manage the stress levels, because stress levels can be pretty high as you lead larger and larger teams and manage larger and larger businesses. So it's really about managing and handling that stress. And like I said, for me, it was a mixture of picking up the cycling that just gets you out of your mind. You binge watch a little bit to just take your mind off things, but you also get yourself involved in other things so that you're not just stuck in just one single thing that you're doing. So that's at least how I try to manage stress at my end. But to your specific question, is it stressful or not? If the CEO that you're asking says that it's not stressful, it's probably not fulfilling his role well enough or not doing up to the expectation or potential that can happen.
So, is it very hard to do your job?
Well, like most jobs, uh, there are, again, similarly, there are difficult moments. Experience does help, and that's why people hire individuals to run their companies as the CEO. They want to leverage on the person's experience, right? If you do not have the experience and knowledge, everything will be difficult. But to say that being a chief executive officer or a CEO is not difficult, it is always challenging. I wouldn't categorize the word difficult. Challenging is just because every day there is always something that you need to solve. There is always a challenge. Some challenges are slightly easy, some challenges are not as easy. But it requires, the ability to problem solve. And how do you leverage on resources so that you can solve problems at the end of the day?
The question in the chat: how much do soft skills play an important role as CEO?
As a CEO, soft skills is actually very, very important. And that's why I mentioned just now. So you asked earlier on, right? I talk a lot, That's while talk is one thing, but talk is required for you to communicate to the rest of your team very clearly. If your team doesn't understand, then they'll be doing things that's not in the right direction. Talk is required when you're talking to your clients to convince them to come and use your service. Talk is required to actually talk to your service providers or your vendors in order for you to actually get them to supply you things at the best price. Talk is important for you to address your shareholders. So soft skills, talking, how you carry yourself, how you communicate, how you engage are all important skills. One, it's so important that I think as we move forward, it's not just an important skill set for a CEO. Regardless of what role everyone is playing, whether you're doing a technical job or a non-technical job, soft skills is actually very, 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 very important.
How come there are not many female CEOs?
That's a good question. It's probably a mix of reasons. Sometimes it's personal choices of the person. Sometimes the industry tends to also be highly dominated by males. Yeah. But it's to me it's a dynamics more than anything else of the market and the sector that you're dealing with.
What new products or services can we expect from DATUM in the future?
Well, for Datel, we are actually working on a way to ensure that um, a better way to use data for e-commerce merchants to get to customers. And that's what we've been constantly working on. We are working on a project internally right now, and we hope that by year end, we're able to introduce this new product of ours. It will pretty much change how e-commerce merchants, owners, acquire customers for them, and how they sell products and how their products gets distributed. Are there more questions from the chat?
What are the new products? Oh. Okay. Is your job like? Would you like if you could choose any other job? What would you pick?
If I could choose any other job, I guess if I could choose any other job, it's not specific to a particular company or a particular role. Like I mentioned just now, my next venture, whether it's my own venture or whether it is an extension to Datel or whether it is with some other organization, it has got to be something that is going to create a larger impact. It's just that at the moment, I am 120% vested in Datel, and Datel is actually my vehicle to realize whatever that needs to be realized.
I want to ask one here. So, global CEO.
Sorry?
Who's your favorite global CEO other than you?
I am actually a fan of Elon Musk. I know a lot of people probably are, but I'm a fan for a couple of reasons. I'm a fan because I appreciate his thinking in designing a vertically integrated business model that he has right now with Tesla. And I am a fan of his because the thinking that he has is I guess it just resonates more with me. So yeah, Elon Musk would be the guy.
Do you think smaller e-commerce will be able to compete with the larger platforms such as Lazada or Shopee?
Sorry? Smaller?
I think smaller e-commerce will be able to compete with the bigger platforms such as Lazada and Shopee.
That's an interesting question. I do believe the e-commerce landscape will change. And Lazada and Shopee is just a temporary situation right now more than anything else. Once all merchants have their own storefronts, right? That means their own Ashran.com outlet, so to speak. Then the market dynamics will change. Lazada and Shopee is thriving really well right now, even though large companies also uses them. But if you observe, a lot of companies uses them to either two things: offload old products primarily, if it's the larger companies, and if they're not offloading, they're using it as a way to direct more traffic to their websites, because that's where they can get better control of things. Yeah. And like I said, because of my belief that the market dynamics will change, the new product that we are looking at launching in year end is really about helping merchants acquire customers without the need to go to a Lazada-like or a Shopee-like kind of a marketplace, without needing to advertise per se in the likes of Facebook and other types of platform like that.
Is your job, like, how easy would you say your job is?
Well, I constantly make sure that it is not easy. I make sure that it's not easy. At any point in time, I feel if it's easy, then I know and I tell myself that I'm not doing my job well enough. I need to know that I am constantly pushing the boundaries. If I'm not pushing the boundaries, that means I'm not working hard enough also. So that will be my response to your question there, Mikhail.
Are there some days where you have to wake up in the middle of the night or no?
Well, I wake up at night, especially when something big happening in this next day. I wake up at night if there is a problem that I can't solve and you can't sleep because you're just constantly thinking about it. And sometimes what I do is I also sleep slightly earlier, but wake up slightly later at night. And if I really feel like I'm stuck, sometimes I do prayers at night in order to just seek for larger than life support out there.
How do you manage your problems and ideas?
How do I manage?
How do you manage?
Sorry, I didn't hear what. How do I manage what?
How do you manage your problems and ideas? You write them down. You write it down.
Yes. So I'm a visual person. So I write down, I draw them, I put down options, I simulate them, and then I will actually throw. So I'm also a believer that as a CEO, it's not about you solving the problems yourself. You're not alone, right? So I will usually try to semi-cook an idea to solve a particular problem. But knowing one man can't solve a problem alone, I will throw that idea to the team. And what the team tends to do after that is kind of either take that idea apart again, reassemble that, or actually, add on to whatever ideas that have been put on. Which comes back to that soft skills question that you asked, that one of the audience asked earlier on. To be able to then, articulate that problem to your team, articulate the ideas that you have so that they understand, so that they can come back to you and value add and give their ideas and comments also. And as a leader within a company, right, or as a leader in your own clubs and societies too, you've got to have the right skills in order to manage people. Especially if the people around you are smarter than you. And how do you manage smart people? How do you harvest the ideas? How do you put it together, all this information that's coming in from various team members out there? So like I said, to your question, I'm a believer of the collective is always good, but it requires a very strong leader to be able to lead also a team that is very smart, that is coming up with ideas, and that leader has also got to be very firm and having the clarity of mind on what that needs to be achieved.
How does your workday start?
How does it start, or what time does it start?
Both.
um, it's I am categorically a workaholic, so it's continuous. You know, after you've done your morning prayers, you know the engine starts ramping up already even before you leave the house. And like I said, you know, it's about connecting with different people and triggering them ideas and thoughts and so forth. And you know, I don't come back that early. So yeah, the day continues quite a bit for me.
Please share with us your day-to-day work life from the time you wake up.
Well, you know, as my kids told me, it's almost similar to what I mentioned earlier on, right? Um, uh, you know, they observe, you know, especially during MCO, and I'm at home most of the time. So they literally tell me that, Aya, you pretty much talk from morning to evening. And that's all you do. And they asked a similar question that you asked me. I said, don't you do work? Right? So again, like I said, you know, what comes in the mind of a person when they're trying to imagine the CEO, right? And people wonder, right? You know, is talking, is that work? I'm sure that's in your mind too, right? So like I said, talking, while the act is talk, but you are talking for different reasons. You are communicating for different reasons, because you are going to be the gel at the end of the day for the whole company, both internally and externally. Whether you like it or not, the job entails a lot of talking. So yeah, if I were to describe, right, you know, after my solar what's more, I go out. On the way to the office, I'm probably on calls already. I get to the office, I get to my room, set up my laptop, you know, check my emails, respond to emails. Once I'm done with that, I get to my regular daily meetings with my management team. Once I'm done with that, you know, while that was as a group, then it's different groups of people that I start talking to pretty much throughout the day. In between, you know, I get to do quick checks on emails a little bit in the afternoon, and scribbling things to be able to communicate back to the rest of the team members. Um, but yeah, it can sound boring to some, but every call has its sets of challenges, and that keeps it exciting, I guess. So you're trying to kind of, you know, get everyone together in solving that challenge at the company level.
Do you like music?
Well, if you're talking about the current role, yes. I like, for again, like I said, for the reasons that you are in charge of determining the fate of the company and its people within the company. And I enjoy that very much. I enjoy that as a CEO, usually for the most part, especially if it's your own company, you're able to also have the decision to experiment with things too, and try new things out. For me, any role that I undertake, that's an important criteria to have.
Do you have a cat?
Sorry. Do I have what?
A cat.
A cat. I do.
Your face is lit up at that question. Like, how did you know? Oh my God, why is it so cold here? I just entered the room and then my whole body just.
Continue, sir. Continue, please.
Oh, questions.
No, I do have a cat. It's not my cat personally. It's the family's cat. However, I am not a huge fan of cats, though.
Oh God.
What?
It's a reoccurring thing. My sister's been asking about cats too.
Yeah, she was asking about cats. So, are you guys a fan of cats?
Yeah.
She wants to have a cat. We live in an apartment in South Life. She wants a cat.
And you guys can't have cats in the apartment?
No. I mean, if you wanted to jump off the entire balcony and fall face first into concrete, yeah, sure.
You just got to make sure you take care. That's all.
Yeah. My mom said first, like, if you want to get a cat, you gotta barricade. You gotta like netting on the balcony.
And then
Right.
And then a bird is nesting on our balcony. So if we block it off, then it can't get to its baby.
Makes sense. Well, maybe when you have your own house later on.
No.
True.
No, it can't be.
Hello, Sasha Bone. Okay. Anyway. Sasha Bone. Hello. Good morning. Wait, it's morning for you. Wait.
Where are you at, Sasha? Okay. Anyway, what are you at, Papa?
Are there more questions from the chat?
No, but we have a lot of questions, so my brother will be asking that.
What do you think needs to be done to improve the startup industry in Malaysia?
Oh, that sounds like a question that came from a person that I know.
Yeah.
You could say that. Skype call, he could be. I wonder.
Yeah. It sounds very familiar.
Yeah, sounds very familiar. I don't know who it is. Okay, I'm kidding. Anyway, what is
the startup scene? Well, I think there just needs to be a lot more private sector players that's playing their part in the startup scene, and not have too much reliance on the government fund. I think that's the only way for Malaysia to possibly get ahead back again in the startup scene.
All right, there's a question in the chat. What are the best tips to connect with people in business and improve networking?
What is the best
tips to connect with people in business and improve networking? I have no idea what that means.
And a question from? Let me just have a drink for that.
In the chat.
Well, when you talk about networking, it just means that two things, right? Either you get yourself involved with communities and provide value first to people. Once there's value, then you will get people drawn to you. and you just got to be open enough to then connect back with them. So the other bit is being involved in associations and so forth is always a good form of networking. And some other people actually do like what you guys are doing, create content and engage with the public outside, and get that a communication channel open, so to speak. That also is a form of networking, right? Because not everybody is as comfortable to approach a person that they don't entirely know. But you can find different ways to be able to then make yourself visible. But what everyone needs to make themselves prepared in order to better network is that once the opportunity presents itself, you should not be shy. And that is where soft skills comes back again. And that's where also beyond soft skills, just general knowledge, the quickness of ability to be able to talk about something that you think that other person would be interested in. Because when you're trying to network with somebody, it's not about what you're interested in. It's about you being interested of the other person and being able to make that other person feel important and excitable enough. And then they will want to know you more. And then you can get the whole a conversation going back and forth and create a better network effect from there. Does that answer the question?
Okay. Do you often feel tired when you do your work, like you don't get enough sleep?
I actually feel tired when I don't get enough work.
What? What? What?
Yeah.
You get tired when you get what?
When I don't get enough work.
So work into your sleep.
No. Work doesn't include sleep. So sleep is a block on its own, right? But I need to constantly. I get energized by doing work.
So you're a workaholic.
Some may say that. I'm just excited about work.
Do you think sleep is boring?
Do I think sleep is boring? No. I actually love sleeping too. It's it's a nice quiet time for yourself.
What animal do you like best?
That's a tough question.
Or do you not like animals at all?
Oh God, no. Animals?
Sorry?
Well, technically animals. Well, but it's fine. Anyway, what is your favorite animal?
I do not have any particular favorite animal.
Okay.
The only reason I have cats in the house is because I'm looking at my cat right now. It's because my sorry?
Can we see it?
She is actually on the cabinet sleeping.
Okay. Wake it up then. I'm kidding.
What's her name?
I'm kidding.
Zoe.
What breed is she?
Sorry?
Breed?
What kind of breed?
Yeah.
I have no idea what breed she is.
Is she fluffy? Is she short hair?
Not fluffy. Yeah, relatively short. She's gold in color with
a tabby.
with a white bottom.
I
I
like cats, and I have no idea what you're talking about, my Sarah. What's a tabby?
Why do you not like cats?
Why do I not like cats? I don't know. I I just don't. I have never liked them. I mean, I don't love them. I don't like them. But I don't hate them.
They're just like neutral around them.
Kind of. I don't get excited about them.
I definitely do.
Unlike some people. But okay. So is your like going back to the topic of this? It's supposed to be about about being a CEO, then
Not animals.
then just and then.
Maybe it should be cat executive officer.
All right, all right. I'm gonna ask the government and the rest of the governments to change it to cat executive officer. Let's go. Yeah. Government. I'll go.
I did something and I don't know what I did. Give us a moment.
Oh God.
Oh great.
Oh God. Oh God.
One zero.
All right, okay, we're back.
Just told the whole class.
Okay, we're back.
Oh great.
Okay,
They will never find out.
Stop. Okay, so your job. Going back to your job before we talked about animals. Is your job like annoying to deal with? It's like, have you ever encountered a quote unquote bad client before or no?
I guess clients in general can always be challenging and demanding, and especially when you are introducing something new to them and they are not familiar with it, and they're asking questions that you think maybe not so relevant or not so smart questions. It sometimes can get annoying. But like most things, you just got to be patient about it. You can huddle back and talk to your team members, but you still got to deal with them with respect and try to make them understand things through their eyes, as opposed to just from where we are looking at things. We've got products that is introduced to SMEs. Sometimes it's also frustrating in terms of getting them to understand the values and benefits, but again, focus on the intent and objective, then in most cases you'll be able to persevere. It's the only way for you to deal with the challenges or the annoying things that happens in work or in life. Making sure that your intent is clear, and if you focus back on your intent, then you will have the strength to be able to deal with them.
All right. How much salary does the CEO get?
It ranges. It always depends on the size of the company, the kind of revenue the company is earning. But naturally, because the CEO is at the top of the chain, it is always the highest paid person in the company. And yeah, so to answer that question, it really ranges. The larger the company is, the larger the responsibility is, the higher than that salary is. And what is that you're doing?
Sorry, fidgeting. Sorry, I just got sit still. Okay, so
why did you become CEO?
Sorry?
Why did you become a CEO?
Like I said, you don't choose, so to speak.
Okay, sorry.
Continue.
Why did you become a CEO?
Why did you become CEO? Sorry.
So is the question why?
Yeah,
Why?
No, like I said, you don't choose. You just undertake a role that the owners of the company thinks that you can perform. It's just that the role of the CEO allows you to be accountable and do what you think is needed. That's at least the best that I can answer why do I be a CEO.
Interesting, very interesting.
Alright,
We need to wrap up with 3 minutes to the end.
Any last
do you
words?
have any last words for the audience?
Well, any last words would be for you guys out there, trying to look at a career. But one day maybe you say, I want to be a CEO of a company, or I want to be a CEO of my own company. It's definitely good aspirations. But as I mentioned earlier on, the focus that you guys should have is not about the position or the title. At the end of the day, when somebody says, or if you guys are saying that I want to be a CEO or something, it essentially just means that I want to lead a team to do something great, right? And to me, a CEO can actually be at different levels. A class monitor can also be a CEO. If you're running a small project with your teams, that is also a CEO. As long as you are driving the team, you are bringing teams together, you are trying to do something meaningful, then you are a CEO. Only difference is whether you're a CEO of a small thing, which you start with, and then grow it up into something really huge out there. Okay?
So basically, start small, go big.
Okay,
Yeah.
last question before we end. What's your message to kids that want to be a CEO?
Sorry?
What's your message to the kids that want to be a CEO?
Be a CEO today. Don't wait until you supposedly land a job. CEO is not about a title. CEO is about how you behave. So you can behave like a CEO when you're in school, doing the things that you do, leading the teams that you have. Okay?
All right, the person in the next one will be tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're going to interview Dr. Ahmad Rafizi Hafiz, surgeon of PTUM.
Also the husband of the psychiatrist we interviewed yesterday.
Join us tomorrow at
2 p.m.
2
p.m.
2 o'clock
2 p.m.
Malaysia time. What is Singapore time? Yeah, I hope you guys all learned something new and enjoyed this video. Bye bye.
Bye.
Mommy.
Bye bye everyone.
See you guys.
Bye bye.
Mommy.